The Brutes of the Halo series have really come a long way since they were introduced in Halo 2 all the way back in 2004. And I'm not just talking about graphical differences, I'm talking about how they've changed as far as what they've offered to the Halo sandbox over the years. And with Halo Infinite confirming that the Banished are returning, then there's no better time to dive into the evolution of the Brutes and really dive into how much they've changed within each Halo game. Diving into today with this video because, guys, the Brutes have changed drastically within each Halo game that they have been in. Everything from their anatomy to even the color of their blood has been altered with every Halo game that they are in. Guys, this is a video I've been really looking forward to make ever since that they announced that the Banished are going to return in Halo Infinite. This is something that I've been really wanting to talk about, so here it is. And if you like this video, be sure to drop a like on it so that it helps it reach more Halo fans. I'd really appreciate it. But guys, let's dive into the evolution of the Brutes. The Brutes serve as the heavy shock troopers in the armies of the Covenant, first appearing all the way back in Halo 2. At first glance, they might appear as knockoff elites, but they are completely different, not only in appearance, but in what they offer in the Halo sandbox. Whereas the elites serve as squad leaders in the Covenant military, leading lesser Covenant into battle, the Brutes tend to favor more of a pack mentality, opting to fight alongside other Brutes instead of the lesser Covenant. But on some rare occasions, you can witness Brutes leading Jackals and Covenant drones into battle on the missions set during the Great Schism. But it's really the Brutes' physical traits that make it stand out against the Elite, because not only are they physically larger and stronger than Elites, they are bullet sponges, taking so much abuse, and when you finally kill a Brute, it's not uncommon to see one of their pack members throw their weapon down and enter a berserk state, where they charge your position and attempt to pummel you to death. It's also worth noting that the Brutes of Halo 2 do not have personal energy shields like the Elites do, which further reinforces just how physically strong they are compared to the Elites. It's also worth noting that the Brutes of Halo 2 can mount plasma turrets where the Elites of Halo 2 cannot, and also the Brutes of Halo 2 cannot hijack your vehicle like the Elites can. This is actually something that I did not know until I went to record footage for this video. And as far as the Brut Hierarchy, there are a few different Brute types in Halo 2, starting with the lowly Brute Miner with their simple helmet, moving up to the Brute Captain with his signature Brute flag on his back, and on some rare occasions, the Honor Guard Brutes, which are literally donning the armor of the Honor Guard Elites during the Great Schism, and all the way up to the Brute Chieftain Tartarus with his signature gravity hammer. As a matter of fact, when the Brutes aren't busy berserking, they have a very unique arsenal of weapons, starting with the Savage Brute Shot Grenade Launcher, and even a red variant of the Plasma Rifle, simply called the Brute Plasma Rifle. They can also throw plasma grenades, and shoot the brand new to Halo 2, the Covenant Carbine. And it's also worth noting that the Brutes of Halo 2 tend to shoot the Covenant Carbine with one hand, which will make sense later in the video. It's also worth noting that the Brutes of Halo 2 seem to have no problem adopting human weapons like the UNSC shotgun. The Brutes also don't hold back as far as what vehicles they can man in Halo 2, pretty much sharing all the vehicles that the Elites can use, including the Ghost, the Wraith tank, the Spectre, which kind of serves as the Covenant version of the Warthog from Halo 2, and I'd love to see it return, and the Flying Banshee. And of course, everything I've mentioned so far also applies to the Halo 2 Anniversary Brute. The Halo 2 Anniversary Brutes got a huge graphical overhaul and look fantastic. And actually, the Halo 2 Anniversary Brute is the latest iteration of the Brute in any first-person Halo game. But it's also worth noting that there's occasionally a glitch with the captain of the Halo 2 Anniversary Brute, whereas the flag on the captain's backs will sometimes disappear in Anniversary graphics. Sometimes it happens, but sometimes it doesn't, but it's worth mentioning. But at the end of the day, the Brutes of Halo 2 are the Brutes that started it all, and though the gameplay in Halo 2 might seem a bit shallow with the Brutes, they see nothing but improvements with the changes that are made to them with each future Halo game. The Brutes of Halo 3 got a complete visual and gameplay overhaul. Now replacing the Elites as the main antagonists within the armies of the Covenant, they now serve as squad leaders within the Covenant armies, leading lesser Covenant into battle more often than they ever were in Halo 2, while also being equipped with brand new brutish weapons and armor. The armor being a first for the Brutes, considering the Brutes of Halo 2 did not wear armor other than their helmets, but it's the way the armor functions that makes it unique. Unlike the Elite's personal energy shields, which when they take enough damage break down and then can recharge later, when the Brute's armor breaks, it explodes off the Brute, burning him and sometimes sending him into a berserk state, similar to Halo 2 where when they lost one of their pack mates, but in Halo 3 they just take physical damage and get pissed, throwing down their weapons and charging at you full speed in an attempt to do some melee damage. Halo 3 also capitalized on the Brut Hierarchy. No longer are the different ranks of the Covenant revealed by just the color of their armor. Instead, it's shown by what kind of armor they are wearing. Starting with the blue Brut Miner, which is the lowest rank of Brut in the Covenant, and even this is a huge leap forward compared to the Brutes of Halo 2. And now moving on to the Brut Captain, which is very similar in appearance to the Brut Miner. They come in two variations, both blue and gold. They generally use more sophisticated weaponry, but they're very easy to pick out of the crowd because of their helmets with their very large fins. Halo 3 also gave us the introduction of the Jump Pack Brutes, which is basically a Brute equipped with a jump pack similar to the Space Elites of Halo 2, and we also got the invisible Brute Stalkers with their active camouflage. And last but not least, Halo 3 gave us the Brut Chieftain. No longer are they reserved for just the boss fight at the end of Halo 2. These guys are units on the battlefield that look badass and carry some of the most dangerous weaponry, like their signature gravity hammer. And it's also worth mentioning that they cannot be stuck with plasma grenades or stick grenades in Halo 3, but you can stick it to their weapons. And speaking of the weapons that the Brutes can use in Halo 3 gave the Brutes some brand new weapons that were never seen before this game, including the brand new Brute Spike Rifle, the return of the classic Brute Shot Grenade Launcher, and classics like the Covenant Carbine, though the Brutes have seemed to learn to shoot it with two hands this time. And though it seems the Brutes have replaced their red plasma rifles from Halo 2 with the Spike Rifle, it's still common to see Brutes use the blue plasma rifle in some missions, while also running into Brutes that use the brand new Mauler, which is basically a Brute handheld shotgun. You can also occasionally see Brutes carry sniper rifles, though rare, and Brute Chieftains carry not only their gravity hammer, but heavy plasma cannons as well, and use their brand new Brute Spike Grenades, and another brand new grenade, the Incendiary Grenade, which is used exclusively by the Brute Stalkers. Halo 3 also introduced equipment like the bubble shields and power drains, and all of this equipment can be used by the Brutes as well. Also on occasion you can catch Brutes manning the newly designed Shade turrets, and occasionally using human weapons as well. And it's also worth mentioning that the Brutes finally learned how to hijack vehicles, yay! And speaking of vehicles, the Brutes can man many, but not all of the Covenant vehicles in Halo 3, basically excluding the Ghost used by the Grunts only. We get the return of the classic Wraith tank, the brand new AA Wraith, and also have the ability to man their turrets, and the return of the classic Flying Banshee. But you can't forget the brand new brutish vehicles like the badass Brute Chopper that destroys everything that gets in its way with its ram ability and its dual mounted cannons. I would love to see this return in Halo Infinite. And we also got the Brute Prowler, which is basically a Brute version of the Covenant Spectre from Halo 2. It's also worth noting that the Brutes of Halo 3 ODST can pilot the Ghost instead of just the Grunts, and for whatever reason have personal energy shields. What? But in the end, the Brutes of Halo 3 saw huge improvements, and not just visual design, but gameplay design as well. They made them so much more fun to fight than they were in Halo 2, and set the standards for what the Brutes should be going forward. For the prequel Halo Reach, the Brutes were overhauled yet again, though just as brutal as ever. The Brutes really took a cosmetic looks that mixed a bit of Halo 2 and 3. The Brute Miners wear minimal armor similar to the way they looked in Halo 2, and the Brute Captains look very similar to they do in Halo 3, but also wearing a little bit less armor, and they only come in the gold variant, which is interesting. And the Captains can also use gravity hammers instead of it just being exclusively used by the Brute Chieftains. And speaking of which, the Brute Chieftains look so badass in Halo Reach, and are the only Brutes in Halo Reach to be equipped with an energy shield. But unlike the Chieftains of Halo 3, plasma grenades have no problem sticking to them. And though Halo Reach takes place before the Great Schism, it's not that uncommon to see the Brutes of Halo Reach lead lesser Covenant into battle as squad leaders, and it's pretty interesting because you never see them fight alongside elites, which I think is a neat touch. The Brute Armory saw some returning weapons as well, like the classic Spike Rifle with its bayonet, and though the Brutes of Halo Reach have no precision weapons like the Carbine or Needle Rifle, they have the brand new Plasma Repeater, and the removal of the Brute Shot was replaced with the Concussion Rifle, which basically serves as a Covenant grenade launcher. The Brute Chieftains of Halo Reach also saw the return of their gravity hammers and fuel rod cannons, but also the addition of the brand new Plasma Grenade Launcher, which I hope to see in Halo Infinite. And it's also worth noting that they lost their awesome Spike Grenades, but now throw Plasma Grenades like they did in Halo 2. They also saw the return of their Brute Berserk ability, though this is kind of the lamest it's ever been. They just kind of run at you shooting and meleeing. And somehow the armorless Brutes can armor lock, I guess? And finally, the vehicles that the Brutes can use in Reach is extremely limited because you only really have evidence that they can drive the Wraith tank. Grunts are driving the Ghost, and when Banshees explode in the sky, usually bodies fly out, but they don't in Halo Reach, so who knows who's piloting them. But guys, that is the evolution of the Brutes, all the way from Halo 2 in 2004 to Halo Reach in 2010. It's been that long since we've seen a Brute in a first-person mainline Halo game. We saw them in Halo Wars 2 as the Banished, and they look fantastic. I mean, look at these dudes. They look so badass, and I can't wait to see them in a first-person Halo game. But that's just one of the many reasons why I'm just so excited to finally get my hands on Halo Infinite. I can't wait to see the Banished in Halo Infinite because they look so good in Halo Wars 2, and since it's finally July, we hopefully don't have to wait that much longer to finally get gameplay of Halo Infinite, or at least we can hope. But guys, that's all I have for this video. If you like this video, be sure to drop a like on it. I spent so much time making this video, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys helped it reach more Halo fans so they can enjoy it like you guys did. But guys, that's all I have, and I make new awesome videos every single week, so be sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.